into another new episode of Sports Extra Uncut with your host, me, Kobe Clark.
Zach Stidham.
And Draven Wiseman.
Yes, and for today's episode, we have a really good planned out show for all of you listening at home, in your car, wherever you may be. We're going to be talking about a little bit of NFL games, what we piqued our interest in this past weekend. We have a good NBA selection for you as well, as opening week did just happen. So it should be a fun episode today, guys. Let's start off with the NFL. We were talking about it a little bit earlier, but Draven, please go ahead with the breaking news announcement trade that happened this Sunday.
So, big news, and his gloves and ball are going to the Hall of Fame as well. I just read this right before this. But Zach Ertz got traded to the Cardinals.
Oh, we're talking about that.
You said big time trade.
I'm talking about Tom Brady.
Oh, you said big time trade, so that's why
the
I was
ball.
Like, well, Zach Ertz is a big time trade too. That happened this week.
I didn't really think about that. I said Sunday, to be more specific.
Oh. Okay, well, I'll mention Zach Ertz first.
Go for it.
So Zach Ertz got traded from Philly to Arizona, and the big meme, I guess you could say, is I woke up, I forget the Phillies record now.
I think they've only won 2 games, maybe 3.
They're like 2-5,
2-5. Yeah,
and
like
it was like I woke up 2-5, and now I'm 5-0.
Yep.
And it was the Zach Ertz trade, and he is the first player in NFL history to score 2 weeks in a row with 2 different teams and have over a 20-yard touchdown for 2 different teams.
Yeah, he did have a really good first game in his debut.
And something to mention as well, he was still wearing a Philadelphia Eagles bracelet during that game.
That's actually really cool.
I got emotional because Zach Ertz has been in Philly for years on end.
Mm-hmm.
But as you mentioned, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Chicago Bears 38-3. And there's a lot of headlines there. Justin Fields was the second quarterback to commit 5 turnovers in a game for the first time since 2015, which that's kind of depressing because I like Justin Fields.
I do too.
But on the bright side of the news, whether or not you like Tom Brady or not, you have to respect the man. He threw his 600th touchdown pass to Mike Evans, the special duo there in Tampa Bay. And Mike Evans gave it to a fan.
Yes.
And Mike Evans probably wasn't thinking at the time.
No way.
It was just in the moment. And Tom Brady ended up taking the ball back because it was his 600th touchdown pass. And I read something this morning to where it was a press conference, and Tom Brady was like, we're hooking him up. And then another news article came out saying he got 2 signed jerseys by Tom Brady.
And a helmet.
A signed helmet, a signed football, a signed Mike Evans jersey, and 2 tickets for the rest of the season, every game, and next season for the 2022-2023 season. That's insane.
He also received a $1,000 credit to Team Store.
Yeah.
Now, diving into it just really quickly, he should not have accepted this trade, should he? He wasn't leaving with that ball, let's be honest. It would have been tough for him to. I don't think so.
I think he took the trade because he knew Tom Brady felt bad for taking the ball away from him in the first place.
Yeah.
And you see multiple things like that to where, like, I think Trevor Lawrence threw his first touchdown pass, and then he took the ball back from a fan, and something like that. And then they got, but I think he took the better deal. I mean, I love Tom Brady, and I would love to have a ball that was thrown by him. But at the same time, he's gotten like $3,000 worth of stuff for a 600th touchdown ball. I mean,
that ball could have been.
Zach, what do you think? Do you think he got it worth it, or?
No, there's no way. I mean, he definitely got robbed in the case that, I mean, there's like guys that do like trading cards and like memorabilia stuff, and they said that this ball could have went upwards of $900,000.
Yeah, easily.
So the fact that he could have just left the stadium with the ball and just put it online the night, he could have made almost $1 million.
But let's be honest, there's no way he was going to get out of there with that ball.
No.
There's no way. They would have stopped him. They would have been like, dude, please, we can work something out. There's no way. Security was not letting that man leave.
But that's not the only story of the day. and one, Tom Brady threw a 600 touchdown pass, and then he saw a big poster on the other side of the field, and it said, "Tom Brady helps me defeat brain cancer." And it was a kid, probably 9 or 10, and Tom Brady came over and signed Tom Brady's hat and gave it to the kid, and the kid just started bawling. That was probably like the most pure moment I've seen in like sports history in like the past decade.
Yeah, that's respect to Tom Brady. You may not like the man, but you gotta respect his act.
The fact that a big name like Tom Brady pays attention to posters and things like that, and saw that, and then was able to go up there and be able to meet the kid and everything else. That's insane. And I give props to the kid. He got to meet Tom Brady. I don't think I'm ever going to get that. But, you know, I give props to Tom Brady because even if you don't respect him, that is respect in all, whether or not you're talking about football or not.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it was really cool to see that. Congratulations, Tom Brady, 600 career passing touchdowns. I mean, man is 44 years old, so it was bound to happen at some point. But yeah, let's dive into a couple of key games. Just off the top of my head, scrolling through these, we got to talk. I'm going to preview what we're going to talk about, then we can talk about them in order. We're going to talk about the Chiefs and Titans game, which is really bad.
Bengals, Ravens.
We're going to talk about the Bengals and Ravens, of course. A next game, I think we will dive into the Sunday night game. I mean, heck, we do live in the state of Indiana. Might as well talk about the Colts. And just because I'm a Saints fan, we'll talk about the Saints. So let's start off.
I don't agree with that.
Oh, too bad. No, I'm kidding. Let's start off. Zach, what are your thoughts on the complete departure of Patrick Mahomes and this offense? Because it has not looked great this season.
I mean, it's not really so much the offense. I mean, this game was really the only game where the offense just didn't show up, and that was just because I think the whole team's kind of in shambles at this point. I mean, this is since and during this game, it was the largest deficit Mahomes has ever been in a game in his career. It was 27-0 at one point, and that was the largest margin he's ever been in. And they've been in a lot of top-level games this year. They're just not used to really losing at all, let alone in this fashion. I mean, they've got stomped a couple times this year, and it's just kind of just a different mentality in the locker room now. They're not like this high and mighty, just super team anymore. I mean, it's the same guys, but like something's just not clicking anymore, and they're just not. I don't know. It seems like the magic's gone.
Yeah.
It's the same roster. I mean, it's basically the same roster that won the Super Bowl and was in the Super Bowl last year. But I don't know. I mean, their defense is just atrocious. Mm-hmm. It's been atrocious all year. It was through 6 weeks. It was the worst ever in football history. I mean, they're giving up almost 8 yards a snap, and I don't know. I mean, it's just hard for a team like that to just go in, especially because they have just such big media hype. I mean, there's so much pressure for all those guys every day, and I don't know.
Draven, let me ask you a quick question, man. So, going off what he just said about the defense, what is your opinion on this defense? What needs to change? Like, what is not happening this season, and what do they need to do to pick it up?
See, that's the first thing I asked myself with the Buccaneers too this year, because the D was just not there, and I was like, let's look at every angle. One is the arrogance of like the Buccaneers coming off the Super Bowl win, and I was like, maybe the Chiefs. At the beginning of the season, I was like, maybe it's just the loss to the Buccaneers. They didn't expect to lose that bad.
Yeah.
Things like that. But now we're in week 7, and they're still awful. Like, that's a easy way to put it. And I don't think it's Patrick Mahomes' fault. I don't think it's the defense's fault. I think it's the coaching staff this year. It is the same coaching staff, but I think all these teams like the Titans, the Rams, everybody's starting to figure out Andy Reid's schemes, and they haven't changed them. Like, ever since Patrick Mahomes came to the Chiefs, they haven't changed it one bit. Mm-hmm. And I think some of these teams are starting to figure it out, that they're all go big or go home team, and they're locking down stars like Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has been sacked more this season than he has ever in his career, and that's a bad stat, I guess. It's a bad stat in general. And just looking at that, how do you lose to the Tennessee Titans 27-3?
Not pretty.
2 years ago, they were Super Bowl champions. 1 year ago, they went to the Super Bowl, and then now they're a 3-14 going into Week 7.
Yeah.
That's just what is going on. And there's a lot of things that you could go into it, and it's not even like looking at the stats for this game. I mean, Tyreek Hill, 6 catches, 49 yards. Travis Kelce, 7 catches, 65 yards. They're not putting up big numbers like they used to, because they're being double teamed and everything else. And looking at rushing wise for the Chiefs too, on their offense, Patrick Mahomes had 6 carries and 35 yards. And he was a leading rusher for the team.
Yeah, that should not happen.
Behind him was Darrell Williams with 5 carries for 20 yards. That tells you something. There's an issue with this team, and I don't know if it's chemistry. I believe it's coaching. But at the same time, there can be a lot more things going on than what we know.
Of course.
Because if you go back, something to mention with this team as well, it gives me vibes of the Eagles after their Super Bowl win.
Well, I wouldn't go that crazy.
They're pretty close.
In some fortunes,
Yeah.
yes.
But I don't know what's going on with the Chiefs. I love Patrick Mahomes. I don't like him as a quarterback. I mean, I like him as an athlete, and I like him as a person. But there's something going on with Kansas City, and I've never been a Kansas City fan. My family is, but I am not. And I wish Patrick Mahomes the best, because this is giving me vibes to where like he's one hit away from being injured. And from past experiences with quarterbacks, I think the only quarterback that has come back better than what he was are 2 quarterbacks. Tom Brady, when he tore his ACL in, 2007, and then Joe Burrow, when he tore his ACL and then came back this year, and he's just impeccable with the Bengals, and we'll get into that
talk about that
bit.
here in a little bit.
But I don't know, Zach, do you think it's the coaching for the Chiefs? I feel like something's going on with Andy Reid. I don't know if it's his old age or old timers or something Andy Reid has that affects us Chiefs team in general.
I mean, it comes down to, they've ran the same stuff. I mean, it's like screen plays, a lot of screen passes, a lot of just like, it's like screen pass or like deep ball Tyreek Hill or like post route Travis Kelce. I mean, it's basically
predictable.
Yeah, it's the same kind of stuff all the time. And Mahomes is always trying to make a hero play, sidearm passes, flip passes, just throw the ball. Like, I don't know, like he's trying to get on SportsCenter too much, it seems like. I mean, good for him, I guess. I mean, he's good at that. He can pull it off. There's not many other quarterbacks that can do that. But again, like the defensive schemes they run, it just doesn't look good at all. I think it's more so a defensive coordinator, more so than like Andy Reid. Because at least, like, you can kind of change it up on offense. They don't run, like, the same thing every time, but it seems like the defense is just doing the same thing every time. And it's just not working, and they're not changing. And I don't know, it's just getting to a point of, like, no return almost. I mean, they're last in their division now. In my opinion, they're not a good division. I mean, you know, the Broncos and the Raiders, who are 2 subpar teams. And then the Chargers are okay.
Yeah.
Like, they're okay. They're the only decent team in that whole division.
They're making leaps.
Yeah, but you can't be last in that division. You just can't, especially coming off a Super Bowl. I mean, you're supposed to be one of the best teams, if not the best team in football. So I don't know. It's just looking rough over there.
Yeah, of course. And we're going into a new month, ladies and gentlemen. November is coming up, halfway point of the NFL season. Giants, the Chiefs got to pick it up here soon. They play Giants Monday night. Then they have a tough back-to-back games against Green Bay, Las Vegas, and Dallas. So hopefully they will figure it out soon. But let's dive into what Draven was talking about a little bit earlier. We were on the phone yesterday. He was telling me a little bit about how he just loves Joe Burrow so much. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, Ravens and the Bengals game that happened on Sunday. A 1 o'clock game, which I figured this game would have been, at least prime time in some sort of way. It was pretty fun team standards, but no one expected the Bengals really to do this. I know, for one, I did not expect Cincinnati to come out and win this bad. I didn't expect the Ravens as a whole to just completely fall out. But let me hear you guys' thoughts. I'll start with you, Draven. What is the impressions that you have on Joe Burrow in this Bengals team, and how far can they go?
I love Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. I loved him in LSU.
Right.
And
Who did? He was just a vibe.
23 of 38 for 416 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. His second year in the league, and he's already throwing 400-yard games. That's insane. And especially coming off of an ACL tear. And he was out, I think, all summer, all last season.
Yeah.
And then I think he was out partially in the preseason, too.
I think he returned, a little bit.
That's crazy. How can you become... I think he's better now than he was when he got drafted. And it's crazy to say that because you don't see many players coming back from gruesome injuries like that. And it wasn't even an ACL tear. He tore his ACL, his MCL, and I think he tore his meniscus too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think...
There's a lot going on.
Does that sound right? I think he tore all 3 of them in one play. And that just tells you if he's able to come back from all 3 big injuries like that, he's going to get comeback player of the year. I don't know. Well, I'll get to that.
That's a tough one.
I think Carson Wentz might get it.
What? Him? What?
I'll get to that here in a little bit.
What about Dak?
Dak, okay. I don't know. I'm split because...
It's not Wentz. It's not.
No, just hear me out on this. Carson Wentz hasn't thrown 1 interception since week 2.
Good for him.
It's Carson Wentz. He was leading the league last season in interceptions. And now it's Justin Fields and Patrick Mahomes leading the league in interceptions.
Wow.
But going back to the Bengals and Ravens, I got off topic. We'll talk about it here in a minute. Joe Burrow is up for comeback player of the year, I feel like. Joe Mixon, 12 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown. Joe Burrow had 1 carry for 0 yards, sadly, but he got sacked. So you can't say anything. And another person to mention, an LSU alumni as well, Jamar Chase, 8 catches for 201 yards.
Yeah.
Zach, can you catch a ball 8 times and run for 200 yards?
I cannot.
And he had 1 touchdown. The Bengals, I think, are the underdogs. Christian Hill, our fellow compadre here in the station, believes they are a playoff contender. I think they are.
I would agree.
I think they might be Super Bowl contenders.
I wouldn't go that far.
Now, that's if they beat the Ravens. Yes, the Ravens can be Super Bowl contenders too. The Bengals can be Super Bowl contenders, but they have to keep up on what they're going. They can't have any injuries. They can't have any, things like penalties and things like that in games that can affect their game. They're 5-2. They took the division against the Ravens because they beat the Ravens.
Yep.
And the Ravens are also 5-2, but they're right behind the Bengals. And it was me and you, Kobe, week 1, and Sports Extra Uncut, and we said Ravens are easily taking this division. I don't know if that's
wrong.
True. I don't know if that's true anymore. The Bengals have I think I did. You mentioned it. You said if the Bengals step up, I could see the Bengals taking the division.
Yep.
And they took it, 41-17. And looking at Lamar Jackson, he's a big player we've talked about. The NFL world has talked about this season. 15 of 31 for 257 yards and a touchdown. That's almost 700 yards in a game, just between 2 primetime quarterbacks that can easily get things done. And Lamar Jackson, he's the running back of quarterbacks, I guess you could say.
Sure.
12 carries for 88 yards. But the Bengals, I could see them going far in the playoffs, and I could see them potentially going to the Super Bowl. But there's too many powerhouses in the NFL, the Bucs, the Rams, the Cardinals.
There's a lot of competition.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
And you don't know if they're you don't know if the Bengals are like the Ravens, Cardinals. If they're just good now, and then they're going to suck the rest of the season. We'll just have to wait and see. They are 5-2, so they're a legit team, but a lot of things can happen within the next couple of weeks for the Bengals.
Yeah, for the Bengals, this whole division, not to count out the Steelers. I mean,
I'm counting out the Steelers.
I wouldn't count them out, but they're definitely a challenge. Like you can't say, oh, we got the Steelers coming up. Oh, this is gonna be an easy.
After
game.
I saw TikTok making fun of Big Ben, I'm counting out the Steelers.
You're right. All right, we're counting them out. But the Bengals, Ravens, and Browns, these all three very close. This could potentially be all three making the playoffs if all goes well. We look at the Bengals a little bit later on in the season. They got a pretty easy win next week against the Jets, I would assume. Then they got a Battle of Ohio with the Cleveland Browns, Raiders, and then the AFC North matchup with the Steelers. So it's really just gonna fall on them. I didn't really see a lot coming from this season, but right now I'm totally invested in it, and I'm excited to see where they can take this.
I don't see the Browns going to the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't say the Browns Super Bowl.
I mean, not Super Bowl, playoffs.
It's really
Sorry.
not the playoffs.
No.
It
I
really
think
depends. They have a lot of injuries.
Baker's not 100. I don't think Baker will be 100% the rest of the season after his shoulder. Odell has struggled with injuries all season too. Both their running backs, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, both of them are fighting injuries as well. And just looking overall with this Browns team, I lived up with the Browns hype last year when the first time in like the late 1990s where the Browns went to the playoffs.
Yeah, it was a long drought.
I lived up to that one. I lived up to that hype though, but I think the Bengals are semi better than the Browns, so I don't see the Browns going. But I think the Bengals and Ravens definitely will be either wild cards or clinch the playoffs.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of the Browns, we should at least mention D'Ernest Johnson, the running back who was just on the practice squad earlier in the season. And with injuries, he got his opportunity, and he had an insane game, rushing for over 140 yards and a touchdown. He was just insane. I picked him up on my fantasy, and I didn't play him. That was on me. But anyway, let's just talk about the Indianapolis Colts and San Francisco 49ers game that occurred on Sunday Night Football. I didn't actually expect this game to be on a Sunday night game, but oh well. It wasn't bad. A little rainy, of course. The whole week is just rain going on East Coast and West Coast. A lot of stuff going on in the world.
Especially here.
Yeah,
it's been raining like all week.
Mm-hmm. I think it's something. I don't know. We're not a political thing. We're not the Weather Channel. We're a sports thing. We're sports. Sports extra.
Sports extra.
I couldn't think of the name. But yeah, let's talk about this Colts and 49ers game, ladies and gentlemen. Zach, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Carson Wentz's progression from earlier in the season to now?
I mean, I don't know. I kind of had high hopes for Carson Wentz. I thought that. I mean, I've always been up on Carson Wentz. I think that they still. I'm one of the only people that still think they would have won the Super Bowl if he didn't get hurt in Philly.
I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Foles stepped up, good for him. But I mean, he would have probably won MVP that year if he didn't get hurt. He was having those type of numbers, and he's just kind of been rattled ever since. I mean, just a lot of people. He's just had a lot of media hate ever since that happened, and he's just kind of been in Philly. Just quite frankly, wasn't that good. It wasn't all his fault in Philadelphia. He just frankly weren't that good when he was playing, and then he comes to Indy. He follows up Phillip Rivers, who had an okay season last year, and they got a good little draft class like offensive wise, and Jonathan Taylor, one of the better running backs in the league, and he's played well. He kind of had a slow start, but with the line that they have, I mean, they have one of the best lines in football. That's kind of their staple, and he gets a lot of time back there. And if you get a quarterback with that a lot of time, he's going to eventually succeed. And you got guys like Pittman Jr. had a good game. He had 4 receptions, 105 yards, touchdown. He was kind of a high up guy when they drafted him out of Penn State. And I mean, they have weapons. I mean, Jonathan Taylor he catches as well. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think the Colts are like in contenders or anything. I mean, they've had a rough year. I think that's kind of going to continue. I don't think they're really. I mean, who knows with their division? Their division's horrendous.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have the Titans, but that's it. I mean, the other 2 teams are horrendous. I don't know. I mean, I think that there's definitely upside. It's more upside than downside with Wentz in Indianapolis right now.
For sure. I am on the belief train that Carson Wentz is a pretty good quarterback. I've never hated him, even when he was in Philly, and especially last season when he split snaps with Jalen Hurts. I still have high hopes for him in Indianapolis. Two players that really come to mind when you talk about the Colts' success so far this season: Jonathan Taylor, who's taken a real big stride this season, and Michael Pittman, who is kind of settling in as that wide receiver one role now.
I have him as my fantasy team.
He is really nice to have on your fantasy team. But yeah, I mean, this whole team, once they all everything's clicking on all cylinders, it's not a bad team. Like, it's a really scary team. What do you think their ceiling is, Javen? Like, how far do you really see this Colts team coming this season?
See, he mentioned it, and my Brady senses started tingling. I almost interrupted him, but I didn't, because sometimes I get very aggravated when someone mentions the Eagles and New England Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Are you a Brady fan?
I'm a both. I'm a Patriots fan and I'm a Bucs fan. So I'm still a Patriots fan because I have family there, but I've been a Brady fan because it was in New England for half of his life.
Okay.
So I'm still a Brady and Gronk fan. But it aggravates me because everybody says, I think Stephen A. Smith said Nick Foles took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. He did. He took them through the playoffs.
He wouldn't have got there without
Carson Wentz.
Exactly.
And just remind me real quick, who was the offensive coordinator with the Eagles the Super Bowl year?
Frank Reich.
And who's the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts now?
Frank Reich.
Exactly. And a lot of people they get under my skin when they say that, because Carson Wentz is a great quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, injuries have gotten to him, and that reminds you of someone else who played in Indianapolis a few years ago.
We don't talk about that.
The man that we are not allowed to speak of, that potentially could have won the Super Bowl too.
Maybe.
But
Only if.
I say with the Colts, their ceiling this year, they probably won't be. If they get anything, they'll be a wild card. Now, I say if I was in Indianapolis, I'd give Carson Wentz another year. Maybe give him a 2-year, maybe. Because this year, as you mentioned, I mean, they're firing on all cylinders now. And Carson Wentz threw, like a 52-yard touchdown to Michael Pittman against the 49ers. I think he had 2 of them, actually.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't I don't think either of them were touchdowns. But they were like big bombs where he just chucked them up.
Yeah.
And Michael Pittman was able to catch them. And Carson Wentz is showing his Super Bowl self again.
Yeah.
And I think now he's comfortable. He can stay in the pocket. He won't scramble as much anymore because he has an offensive line. He has time and buys time to be able to throw the ball. And I think that's what his problem was in Philly, and that's why he just couldn't do anything, because he was so scared to get hit again and get hurt. But Marlon Mack, I just saw 3 teams are interested in him.
He's out the door. Definitely, he's gone.
Yeah. I think you should trade Hines too.
I don't know. I like Hines in that backfield.
I feel like you can get a pretty big price with Hines. And right now, don't trade him, because Jonathan Taylor, he had a slow start to the season, and now he's starting to pick things up like Carson Wentz is. And I think this is the last year for T.Y. I love T.Y. Hilton, but he should retire after this year. I feel bad for him. He had a good career. He played alongside Manning, and he played alongside Luck, and now he's playing alongside Carson Wentz. And
Philip Rivers.
And Philip Rivers. I forgot about him. And he was wide receiver 2 to Reggie Wayne.
He's been here a while.
Yeah, he's been with the Indianapolis Colts for, I'm trying to think when Reggie Wayne retired.
I think it was about 2014, 2013.
Yeah, so he's been in there forever. He's like the Zach Ertz of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I love T.Y. I've got to meet him a few times from like the training camps in Anderson, Indiana, and stuff like that, me going to them. But I think the age of T.Y. is over, and I think Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts for the next few years or so. Jonathan Taylor, 18 carries, 107 yards with 1 touchdown, as you mentioned. I don't live up to the hype with Jonathan Taylor.
Really?
I think he's just kind of
I don't know, man.
He'll be good for a few years, and then he's just going to fall off. And we've seen that a lot with a lot of running backs. They'll be good for a few years, and then they fall off. and then they come back for a little bit, then they fall off. And maybe I'm wrong. Jonathan Taylor has gotten humongous in the past year. I saw a picture of him from like 2019 to 2021, and his arms are like both of my arms combined. And I'm big. So, like, that just tells you something.
Yeah.
But I think overall, the Indianapolis Colts, they won't get far this year. I think they'll maybe make it to the wild card. But if they do that, give Carson Wentz another chance. Don't draft a quarterback yet. I think Carson Wentz still has maybe half a tank left for his football career. I hate to say it like that, but I think he still has a few years left in his tank. I think Phillip Rivers did too. And
For sure.
Phillip Rivers even said he'll come back if the team needs him late in the season after high school football is over. And high school football ended this week. Well, sectionals started this week, but a lot of teams are already out.
How is it? I wonder how he is doing.
I'm kind of curious. I haven't
I'm gonna
looked.
look that up real quick.
But overall, the Colts, they had a rough start. I didn't expect the rough start because they have the insanely secondary on defense, but they just weren't as good as everybody hyped them up to be. Now they're starting to be as good as everybody hyped them up. They're starting to look like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. But we'll see how it goes. They have a rough schedule ahead of them. We've talked about it a little bit. They have the No, they don't. They have the Titans coming up on Halloween. They have the Jets next, Jaguars. And then I feel bad for them because they have the 49ers, they have the Texans, they have the Titans. They'll probably lose against the Titans. They'll probably win against the Jets, win against the Jaguars. Then they play the Bills. Then they play the Buccaneers. And then I'm actually going to that game against the Buccaneers.
Yes.
So I'm pretty excited for that. And then they'll win against the Texans again. And then something to mention, too, they play the Patriots.
Ooh, they do, yeah.
At Lucas Oil. And this is the first time the Patriots have been back since the Deflategate. And also Tom Brady's coming back, but now with the Patriots, he's coming back with Bucks. And that's the first time Tom Brady has been back to Indy since the Deflategate. So, with that being said, I'm going to quit talking so Zach can talk. But the Colts are not going to be a powerhouse this year.
Alrighty. Can I mention real quick? I found Phillip Rivers, his coaching record at St. Michael Catholic football team in Fairhope, Alabama. Which shout out Fairhope, my aunt lives there. So
Are you going to say 0-11?
They are 5-3 on the year.
Oh, nice.
3-3 and 5A. It looks like, or 4A, excuse me. And their last game was a loss to Mobile Christian, 43-20. Shout out Max Preps. Everybody here should know what Max Preps is. It is very reliable.
No, it's not.
I love Max Preps.
But it's not reliable. It's all dependent on the coaches and the coaches at my old high school. Shout out Pendleton Heights. I love all the coaches there, but they do not know how to put stats.
What class is your school?
4A.
4A? Okay, that's weird. That's on them. Because
Yeah.
Ben Davis was a 6A, and I got it like that.
Okay, nobody likes Ben Davis, okay?
I do. Okay. And Zach, where'd you go to high school?
Austin High School, a little 2A high school.
2A high school?
Imagine going to a 2A high school.
We didn't have football.
Oh,
you didn't have football?
What the heck?
Blasphemy. All right, guys, let's get into one more game here.
You just gave me a headache. I just want you to know that.
I can't imagine. You don't see that a lot.
This is exactly why I came to Indiana State and not Vincent's, because they did not have football.
Let me just tell you something. If you don't know, you're about to know.
That was a poke at Kobe, by the way.
I'm a sophomore. Went to Vincent's my freshman year. I don't mean to badmouth the school, but I would not recommend it. I'll say that. It's just I'm gonna say it as the most nice way possible. I like being here in this station a whole lot better than I like being over there in that station. But we're gonna end it now there. So we can talk off here. But yeah, one more game. New Orleans Saints, Seattle Seahawks, Monday Night Football. Man, was this game just so boring.
No.
It was really boring.
In fantasy this week because of this game.
Alvin Kamara?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I had DK Metcalf left on my team, And he had the
Alright.
Seahawks defense, and he had Alvin Kamara left on his team. And I was projected to win by like 0.5, and I lost by like 30 points.
Way. Oh man, I'm so sorry. Let me give you a little recap from my point of view from this game. So, starts out early. A lot of, if you don't know, Saints Seahawks, bad history. They are not in the same division, but man, when these two play, they just hate each other with a passion. It goes all the way back to that beast mode run in 2010, to when we lost in the playoffs again to them in about 2015. It was, or not 2013. It's just not the prettiest. Mike, what's his name? DK Metcalf. He had a nice 83-yard touchdown reception, and Marshawn Lattimore slipped. And those two were just jawing back and forth a lot. They respect one another's game, of course, but man, dude, they just know how to keep going and not stopping. It's just so annoying to really watch because Lattimore should be better than that, but oh well.
It's like you and I talking about All-American last night.
Exactly, yes. You kept talking.
I'm aggravated.
I'm kidding.
I'm aggravated now.
Why?
Alvin Kamara had 20 carries for 51 yards, and he had 30 points in fantasy.
You do know how many receptions and yards he had, right? 10 receptions, 128 yards, and a touchdown.
Wait.
Alvin Kamara, the dynamic running back. He can do it all.
It says he has 20 carries for 51 yards on Google right now.
That's rushing. Go to receiving.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Speaking of receiving, let me dive into that real quick. There's Marquez Callaway, who had 3 catches. Traquan with 1. Jawan Johnson 1. Devin Ozabigo, who we just called Ziggy, who had 1 catch. And Troutman with 3. There is not a lot of catching other than Alvin freaking Kamara, and that's our running back. Both wide receiver units for both teams.
Where's Michael Thomas?
We're figuring that out. Hopefully he'll be back soon in the next 2 weeks.
I thought you said he'll be back by week 4.
Well, no, I said after the bye. He still's not ready. So,
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of drop passes too. Kenny Stills and Kevin White both had deep passes, back-to-back plays, and dropped them both. But I digress. Jameis had an okay game. He's got to learn to be a little bit more efficient with the ball and look down the field more, and being able to step in the pocket comes a long ways with that. Geno Smith, however, the backup in Seattle due to Russell Wilson's thumb injury, he didn't play too bad, going 12 for 22 for 167 yards and a touchdown. I mean, it's respectful. I mean, he's not going to get a starting job, I don't think, but hey, let it shine, man.
Did you hear the news?
Let me hear it.
Cam Newton declined their.
The Seahawks? You're kidding.
Cam Newton was offered a veteran minimum, I think. It was like 1.2 million, and he said no because he said he wouldn't sign for a veteran minimum. And that basically like locked the barred door against the Seahawks because the Seahawks aren't going to pay him more than a minimum.
I wouldn't pay him more than that either.
I would.
I mean, I feel more comfortable knowing Geno Smith has been there like 3 or 4 years now. So, like, I would respect that. And it's not like Wilson's going to be out forever. He'll be back in about 4 weeks.
But Newton deserves to be on a team.
Not Seattle. It would never work out in Seattle.
I feel like it would.
It would make more sense if it was like a team with an open
4 years ago,
conversation.
would you look at Cam Newton and be like, New England Patriots?
Of course not.
Exactly. I cannot look at Cam Newton and be like New England Patriots, but I could see him being a Seahawk.
No, as long as Wilson's there, it's not happening.
I think it's Wilson's last year, but
That's a whole other conversation. I could see him leaving, but at the same time, I feel like he has too much of a connection there with Seattle and the organization. But anyway.
Russell Wilson trade for Jimmy Garoppolo.
No. No. Going back to the game, though. Saints, Seahawks, it was just offensive game that was really lackluster, and the defense for both teams really where it stood. It was a defensive battle for sure, and the Saints stood tall in the end. Key player Demario Davis had a monster game. But yeah, did you guys watch the game by chance?
I watched 1 quarter and then I was bored, so I turned it off.
Okay. Zach?
No, I didn't. I mean, these.
It gave me Rams Patriots vibes in the Super Bowl, so I turned it off.
What? Okay. let me just sum this up the best way I can, since I'm the only one who watched and cared about this game last night.
Nobody cares about the
I
Saints.
did my research. I come prepared. Saints need to step up. They need to get their healthy players back. They just got a good chunk of them back with Marcus Davenport, Quan Alexander. But it's just not going to happen. Teron Armstead, he also came back. Eric McCoy. But we lost Will Lutz for the rest of the season. He had a setback in his recovery time, so he'll be out for the rest of the season. And yeah, I am really skeptical of how far this Saints team can go, mainly because of Jameis Winston. I don't know if he has the confidence and honestly the support at this point by Sean Payton and the coaching staff, because there's just so many questions that's going to go into next year depending on how the season ends. So, do I think they'll still make the playoffs? I do. Okay, let's look at the standings for the NFL right now, and we will discuss who.
Do you see him getting salty right now, Zach?
I'm not getting salty. It's just
You're getting defensive.
no, that's not true.
When will you admit the Saints are not a powerhouse?
They're not a powerhouse.
Post Drew Brees.
When I don't see you on a daily basis, so I can't let you know that until you get rubbed in. So yeah, we'll stick with that answer. Can I not find a website that has just the teams and not the
No.
division?
There is something I want to talk about, Kobe.
Please do, because I am trying to find this.
Let's move to professional wrestling real quick.
You want to talk about that?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to end it here. Saints making playoffs. I'll see how far they go. Hopefully they go far.
Zach, do you watch WWE?
Let's talk about wrestling.
Or do you keep up on it?
Kind of.
So last night, Monday Night Raw,
Did not watch it, obviously.
I did not watch it either, but I saw the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
They had a ladder match.
Yeah, what was up with that?
So
I saw it on
it
Twitter.
was Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor versus
Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins.
There was another one?
Oh, there was one
Was it
more.
Rey Mysterio?
No. Oh.
I'm about to do my research. I'm so confused
Hold
now.
on. All of us are looking it up.
I didn't see this. Oh, what?
It was Rey Mysterio.
There's a contract?
Oh, yeah. So the contract is the
Number one contender match.
for Big E.
I didn't know this.
Now, I got super excited. I don't like the new character Seth Rollins has.
What? He's my
I-
favorite right now.
I despise it.
Besides Randy.
I love Randy Orton. But, man, so when Seth Rollins won the NXT Championship, Big E was the number one contender. And Big E took the title from Seth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going back 10 years later or so,
That is some very good. I can't believe you even knew that. That's crazy.
I don't know how I knew that either.
That's crazy.
It just popped in my head. Now, Seth Rollins is challenging Big E for the championship.
Wow.
Now, the thing that aggravates me about WWE, and this is what I love about AEW, is WWE pushes superstars and then makes them fail when it comes to the big matches.
You think?
This is why I don't watch it anymore. Obviously, I'm almost 20 years old. I shouldn't be watching WWE anymore in the first place. But, so, it was Saudi Arabia. I forget what they call it. It's like
Crown
this-
Jewel.
Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns.
I didn't even watch it. You know why? Because I was in class.
I know. And I'm getting sick of the same storylines over and over and over. And Brock, I love Brock's new, like, lumberjack.
I love it. I love it. I
Have
love
you
his
seen his
back.
back? He has, like, a little ponytail and his
Yeah.
big beard and, like, his...
He just wears jeans with boots
Yeah.
and just.
I love
sleeveless
his new
flannels.
persona, and I didn't like Brock for years on end because he just would disappear and then come back out of nowhere.
I hated it.
And
Those 500-day reigns were tough.
yes, I still hate it.
Mhm.
I don't like Roman Reigns right now either.
I love Roman.
Now, listen to this. I don't know if it's true or not because Instagram is very bad when it comes to news because you don't know what's fake and what's not. But, actually I'm going to look it up right now. The Rock evidently posted on his Twitter.
The Rock did?
The Rock, yes.
What did he have to say?
And he said something about Roman Reigns saying like, if you're the tribal chief, then what am I? And
Nah.
I
Nah,
didn't
bro.
No, I didn't look it up, and I don't know if it's true or not. I don't think it is.
You got me geeking out now. This might actually lead to something.
But if he called out Roman Reigns, man, The Rock will come back and absolutely obliterate Roman Reigns.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's true though, sadly.
Oh, I don't know, because I'm scrolling through his Twitter right now. It can't be real. I don't see it.
I saw it on Instagram. I was very upset because I knew it probably wasn't real. But someone to mention as well, Kobe, and we've talked about him pretty much the whole time we've known each other here. CM Punk.
Yes.
He is. I love the way AEW is booking him right now, because they're not booking him as like a powerhouse.
They're doing a great job.
They're booking him as like, yeah, they're booking him as like he needs to get ready to have these big storylines. Zach, who's your favorite WWE wrestler? It could be past, present, future.
Ooh, I like this question. Can I answer it too?
Yeah.
You go first. I got time to think. I'm trying to think.
Well,
no, I got Cesaro.
all time.
Oh, okay.
I've never heard that. Answer.
I've never heard that either.
I'm curious why.
I just thought my prime of watching it was like
Which Cesaro though?
It was-
Tyson Kidd Cesaro or like?
it was like in between like him when he was with Sheamus and like
Yeah.
Tyson Kidd.
the
It was
bar.
like it was like when he was kind of in a singles. They never really pushed him because I think he was so talented. He
still is.
Yeah, he's so talented. I mean, I don't know. They just
The Swiss cyborg.
Yes.
I mean because he has charisma too. I mean he has pretty much everything that you need to like.
Mhm.
Because I mean he always like gets the crowd hype when he was wrestling. I mean they just never pushed him. And I always hated that.
I hate it still.
Because he has like all the tools you need to be like one of the top
Right.
guys, and they
They
just
just
never
won't.
push him.
They won't push him now. I mean, he had a little bit of a push just this past year.
But he lost
But
every
he
single
did
match.
lose, yeah.
That was big. Who's
Um,
my favorite wrestler?
Who's your favorite all time?
I've told you before.
God.
He's a present superstar,
He still wrestles?
but he's not in WWE.
So he still wrestles?
Yes.
Chris Jericho?
Dean Ambrose.
Yes.
Oh,
I
you
just
guys
threw
are
out-
weird.
John Moxley.
I don't like your guys' answers. Because when I think all time, I think of one who I grew up with. Like, even though I caught the end of his career.
Well, like I didn't start WWE
Okay,
until
how
I was
about
like 12 or 13.
Okay.
Like I
All
didn't start
time
when I was like a
wrestlers.
kid.
Who's your favorite of all time? Is it still Cesaro?
He's up there. It's probably like him or maybe I don't know. I like CM Punk when he was going.
I didn't jump on his train. Like,
No,
Well, that's like when I first started watching. It was
Yeah.
like
My-
him and Cena was doing all that
yeah,
stuff.
okay.
But like CM Punk and
was that when CM Punk took the title and just left?
Yeah,
yeah.
for a week.
My favorite all time, a lot of people are going to be surprised by this, Sting.
What?
Yes.
It's kind of an old head pick.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people say him.
Yeah.
I
love
don't know
Sting.
why.
I love his new stuff now in AEW. I love his entrance, like with the snow. It just gives
It
me,
is cool.
It gives me goosebumps every time I see it.
I feel like a lot of people don't say him, like our age especially, just because he was in TNA for
Yeah.
that long.
Well, he was in WCW.
Yeah, and then that folded.
And
He
then,
didn't want to go to WWE.
yeah, and then finally he came to WWE, and
Had like 4 matches and got hurt.
no, he came back from one match, and it was against Triple H.
Yeah.
And then he came back against Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he came back once or twice more after
it,
that.
I think it ended pretty soon after.
My favorite thing with Sting in WWE probably was when Seth Rollins won the U.S. title against Cena,
Mm-hmm.
and then he had to defend both titles in Night of Champions. I think it was here in Indy.
It was.
I'm pretty sure
Yes.
that year was here.
Which is really weird. You don't
Yeah.
really see that anymore.
We don't have very many like big
Bro,
things. in
we had
WWE.
SummerSlam here one year. You know that?
We had Night of Champions here too.
We used to have it a lot.
And I think Indy's big enough to have WrestleMania.
No.
Yeah.
It's not,
I think Lucas
no.
Oil was big enough.
It's not happening.
I think
I think yeah, the stadium's big enough.
Yeah.
But
I think,
we're
like,
not big enough.
Yeah.
It's not Texas. It's not Florida. Like, we don't have the attractions as the other states. Heck, Detroit was WrestleMania
Are you being
23.
statist right now?
I am. My favorite wrestler all time, Shawn Michaels, easily. I love
That's
him.
basic.
I don't care.
That is.
He's just my favorite. I loved him when I caught the end of his career back when I first started, which was like 06, when he was with Triple H and DX. his singles run with John Cena and everyone when he went to WrestleMania 23, Ric Flair and him, WrestleMania 24, the Taker matches. I could sit here and talk about every match this man's had.
See, my mom wouldn't let me watch WWE after hearing his theme song.
His theme song's amazing. I'd play it right now if it was in here.
No, I like at the beginning, like that. Here, I'll.
I don't know if we should.
No, I'm not going to. But
just Google Shawn Michaels theme song. You will not be disappointed.
yes, but here's another question. We're running out of time at 6:08.
Yeah, we're not getting to NBA. Sorry, I lied.
Yeah. Zach, what is your favorite theme song of all time?
Man, that's this one's easy for me.
It can be anybody. It doesn't even matter if they're dead.
You can pick anyone.
I don't know. I mean, I'm like, I caught up like when I was like into it, because I was only into it for like, I was only like really into it for like 4 or 5 years. It was when I was like probably 12 to like 16. Kind of a weird time to be, but that's just kind of how like I've discovered it really. And I mean, but I kind of kept up with it recently. But like I didn't really like get into theme songs. Yeah. I didn't really get into theme songs like from the past. But like one that like always like gave me chills was like the Burn It Down Seth Rollins.
I like that one a lot.
I love that one.
That was a good addition.
I liked it before the Burn It Down.
Oh yeah.
And then when they added it, I loved that. I thought that was one of the best ones. But I mean Shawn Michaels obviously.
Of course.
That's one of the best ones.
You guys want to know what gives me goosebumps?
What gives you goosebumps? You gotta play this off your
I'm gonna
laptop.
play it.
If it's the Undertaker theme song.
It is not. It is very close, but no.
It's Kane. Kane 2007.
I mean, another one while he's looking up. Another one that, like,
Call of Duty Vanguard trailer. Hold on.
I don't even know if they can hear this. Dude, I was gonna say that. That was my answer. You cheater.
Another one that I like was when he was like before all like his current storyline was like I think it's actually still the same as Sami Zayn.
Oh yeah.
I love like when the crowd would get into it and stuff. I love that.
NXT crowd when he was in NXT.
Yeah.
So loud.
You want to know the #1 theme song that gave me goosebumps? Or not like every time, but like the one time that it happened. You guys remember when Dean Ambrose got hurt? And like he came back, ripped his heck, and then cut his hair?
Oh, that time. It was like 2017.
And it was like Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler at the time. And he was like, since you have like a Scottish psychopath in your corner, I might as well have a lunatic in mine.
Dude.
And then Dean Ambrose came out.
This is awesome.
My goosebumps just like rose.
I don't know about you guys, but okay, so like I started watching in 2006. You started in 12. When did you start watching? Because there's one person's theme song that I don't really know if you know.
I know a lot of the theme songs.
Chris Benoit.
No, I don't know.
You don't know who that is?
I know of him, but
I don't. Yeah, I was like, I don't know.
You don't know of him. You don't know like his backstory. We'll just leave it at that. But yeah, his theme song every time when I was really young, I liked his theme song a lot. But
I mean, Eddie Guerrero's theme song.
Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Triple H. We can keep going. Randy, both of them actually. Evolution.
see, Randy, I think, is the only character that works as a heel. Like
I could see, yeah.
Like he is the only one that has like name a character that has not been like the same character for over like 5 years.
John Cena, not kidding.
Well, like John Cena, he's
the
like
same.
he's the face of
WWE.
But like looking at Randy, I mean, he was a face versus the Wyatt
He's so
family.
different, and he can adapt.
But as a heel, he's amazing.
I love.
And right now, he's a face with Matt Riddle. With
he'll be a heel soon. Don't worry.
I hope not.
Yeah.
And while we're on the topic of WWE, can we talk about how The Rock is rapping now?
Yeah, what happened? I haven't heard it.
You haven't heard it?
I haven't. I'm gonna have to listen
I don't
to
want to
it.
hear it. I know about it. I mean, it's a big like meme thing. I know, but I can't.
Okay, I'm showing it to you guys.
Are you right now? Right. It's getting pretty late. Man, we're gonna have to do something wrestling related. Maybe we can talk about it later.
Here it is.
That's a him.
Hold on. Let me pull it up on my phone. That's just...
Well, while he's doing that, next week we will have something wrestling related for sure. Be on the lookout for that. We'll talk more NFL. Maybe we'll get to NBA. I don't know. We didn't even get to do it today, so we got caught up in wrestling.
There wasn't like too much time in NBA was really.
Yeah,
Like, it wasn't like,
just the openings.
yeah, it wasn't like too many explosions.
Chris Durante, though, that's all you gotta know.
Yeah,
He's playing him. He's being really good this year.
Here it is.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours. Like some more in my veins, my cold brain was strange. I changed the game, so what's my motherfucking name?
But
Okay.
now, luckily I was able to take that out. But
Hopefully.
but The Rock, he's not a rapper.
He is not. I like his intensity. That's it.
It was TikTok is clowning on him so hard right now, and everybody has an obsession with TikTok. If you say you don't, you're lying, because everybody has a TikTok.
I deleted it.
Whether or not you post it, yeah, but you were on it.
I was.
Zach, do you have TikTok?
I do not actually. I promise. Right here.
Are you lying?
Have you ever had it?
No.
Ever?
I mean, no, never. No, like
You had Musical.ly before it became TikTok?
Ew.
no. I was like, me and my friend, like, we made like a pact, like before it. I mean, it was just like a joke fact, but we stuck to it. Like before it even got popular, like when it first came out, because like of the whole Musical.ly thing, it branched off from that, and we're just never gonna download it. And like to this day, we both still have.
I
it.
respect that.
I mean, like you still see them everywhere. I mean, like it's. one
It's
of the-
tough to not see.
I mean, it's one of the biggest apps.
It's on Twitter. It's on
the planet.
Instagram.
I mean, but I mean, I don't like dislike TikTok. That's not like
Yeah.
my thing. I'm just doing it as a joke at this point.
Okay.
But I don't dislike it. I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff on TikTok.
Sure.
I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, I don't currently have it.
I got you. I mean,
I might eventually break, but
yeah.
who
Don't.
knows? Who knows?
Stick to your word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't break.
Don't break it. You'll be addicted. I think we had a great episode today. Sorry.
Hopefully I don't get fined.
Let's hope not. Third episode today. That will be a wrap for Sports Extra Uncut. Thank you guys so much for listening and supporting WZIS. It is great to hear the
Make
feedback.
sure
Please hear
to
it.
follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yes.
And make sure to go follow Sports Extra,
Mm-hmm.
just Sports Extra, where our boy Joe and our boy Christian are on.
Sometimes one of us, depending on the day.
You know, I don't even care if I'm on their show anymore, because we have our own show. We just buy it on our own, you know?
Are we better? We should
Are
make
we
a Twitter.
better?
We should make a Twitter poll.
Tell us, are we better than Christian and Joe?
Or now we're diving. Now we're stirring the pot. That's what Joe was saying.
Uh,
But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Shout out to Zach for being here. Shout out for Draven showing up here. Shout out me for actually getting out of bed and doing this. Just kidding. I am always here.
Before we leave, though, Season 4 of All-American kicks off yesterday. But you can watch Episode 1 on the CW tonight or today.
Go for it.
And I already watched it. So, good luck.
Yeah, go for it. It's a great show. I love it. Still need to watch season 3. But as Draven said previously, follow us on all our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at WZIS-FM. You can listen to Sports Extra every Monday at 6 p.m. with, of course, Christian Hill and Joe Moore. I've been Kobe Clark,
I have been Draven Wiseman.
I've been Zach Stillman.
and we will see you all next week with another episode of Sports Extra Uncut. Stay safe, everybody. Peace out.
Happy Halloween!